What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you jumping on over here. Got a special guest. I'll work on that once I finish this introduction because it does look like, oh no, Q&A section is there. So we do have a Q&A section for all of you on right now. You can ask your questions in there. We will answer them as we go about it. I am finally back in the office full time. Had my baby girl, so it's our third baby, my wife and I. But here we are back in the swing of things, getting everything going, not sleeping because you don't get to do that kind of stuff, apparently. But special guest, someone I've been growing a really awesome relationship with. Met her initially at Renee Rodriguez's AMCon, and we just got to talking, got to speak. She reached out in these really unique ways. And I said, okay, let's just start having some conversations and seeing where this goes. You have so many people that enter our space that are talking about social media and gurus and being an expert. Well, this individual, I want you to know that's the first thing that she doesn't want to say. She doesn't care about all of that stuff. She really doesn't. She knows how much deeper it is to make connections with human beings. So I have Michelle Berman Michael on here, founder and CEO of the creator of Beyond the Method and of Berman Media. The biggest thing for her are really tapping into four specific pillars. And the Beyond the Method is about connecting with human beings. Mm-hmm. Connection's not easy. You all know that, especially with clients. And the truth of the matter is, all the different clients that come in the door have to be talked to a different way. The end result is the same, but connecting with them has to be different. And you got to go a little bit further in order to make those connections. So there's four pillars that she has when it comes to connections. I'm going to pass it on over. Number one, engagement. Number two, cross-pollinating. Number three, psychology. And number four, conversion. So, Michelle, the floor is yours. Please take it from here.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just thank you. You're so awesome for having me. And I really feel like there's a lot of people you meet in your life, or I just feel like God puts people in your life for a reason. And I genuinely believe that you've been one of those humans for me. And for context, right, I actually met Jonathan when he was on stage at AMCon. I listened to him get thrown to the wolves by Renee. Literally, he had no idea he was about to get called on stage. And I was listening to Jonathan doing it, just thinking like, oh my gosh, how did he just do that with no script, with no planning, with nothing, and just super impressed by you. And then literally did what I do for a living by sending you a message on Instagram, and the rest is history. The next morning I walked upstairs and you were sitting there with two of my existing clients, and it was just really what a small, crazy, awesome world, right? But here we are, fast forward to now, and I'm just very grateful for you. I'm really honored to have the opportunity to speak to your audience, and I think the best is yet to come for sure. But for those of you guys that do not know me, Jonathan did an amazing job introducing me, but I am a mom. I have a 3-year-old. His name is Knox. He is everything. Like, I don't even know what I would do without that little boy. I'm also I don't want to say like a chronic competitor, but I really am. I swam competitively for 20 plus years, CrossFitted at a very, very high and elite level for about 7 years. And now my husband and I have really gotten into running. So my husband's ran almost a dozen full road marathons, done several ultra marathons. I have my third half marathon coming up. And I just love winning and racing. And I think that correlates very well into what I do for a living. So, I'm going to go ahead and get my presentation going, but in the meantime, like my screen as far as sharing it, but in the meantime, my favorite question to ask everybody is, what are you drinking? I know that's a very random question, but that's my favorite way to always open a webinar. I'm not a Starbucks person by nature, but they were doing free peppermint hot chocolates this morning. So yes, I went and got one because they're just really good. And it's 27 degrees outside. So you guys get why I needed to drink that. But in the Q&A or in the chat box, if you guys have it, Jonathan's drinking a Red Bull. I love it. How many of those have you had today, though? Let's be honest.
Just one. I've actually cut back really, really heavily. That's why I said shoot. You caught me on, of course, the day I did. I don't want to lie, but I'm drinking something I probably shouldn't be.
I had a CrossFit coach many, many years ago who, for Christmas, I kid you not, the whole gym, every single member of the gym contributed $20. We bought him a pallet of Monster from Sam's Club and had it delivered to the CrossFit gym. And it was hilarious. Like, his face just died when it came in. And I've never seen so much Monster in one place other than at a competition. Because usually at competitions, they would give Monsters or C4s away. And you're just like, wow, we just all bought that for him. Now we all contributed to him dying of a heart attack, but it's okay. I love that though. And it's just such a fun question. Let's see what people are saying. So what do I see? Where'd my chat box go? What do you see, John? Can you see the Q&A box? I lost it.
We got espresso. Chat is disabled. Yeah, they're putting in the Q&A. Blue Mio, hydrate, espresso. That's what we got going on right now. I'll work on that up.
I like it. Keep it going. Whatever you're drinking, I'm all about it. I'm a big electrolyte, like BCA drinker type person too in the middle of the day, because I honestly really don't like water. Like, I mean, I like drinking water because I know it's good for me, but I don't like the boringness of it. So I make it fun with an electrolyte tablet. Now, why are you guys actually here? What are we talking about? What's the purpose of being here? My favorite word in the English dictionary is leverage. And honestly, leverage is how I met John. It's how I've met a lot of the people in my life, and how I've built my entire career is really the ability to create leverage. And what does that mean? What is the word definition? I don't know. I don't really care what the dictionary definition is, but I'm going to share with you what mine is. And my definition of leverage is your ability to get from one person that you don't know to somebody that you do know, or through somebody that you do know, right? So building a bridge between that person that you do know and creating a relationship with someone else that you don't. And that is leverage. Now the question becomes, how do you use it through the social platform? And I will tell you, like, Instagram is my favorite platform of choice. I use LinkedIn, I use Facebook, I use all the other platforms. But Instagram, in my opinion, is truly the best place to create opportunity for yourself when it comes to creating genuine, real relationships and also prospecting, right? So my superpower is my ability to teach you how to use leverage to create opportunity off the Instagram platform through the art of active prospecting. So no, I'm not going to teach you how to get more followers. No, not going to teach you how to grow and go viral on a reel. It just doesn't matter to me. It's really not the true power of the platform. So if you've been, I don't want to say brainwashed, but if you've been told that that's the thing that matters, I don't want to disagree, but I'm going to tell you that it's really not the secret sauce. It's really not the golden standard. What is your ability to talk to people in a way that creates opportunity. So it's just a very important thing for me, and something that will really unlock a lot for you guys. Now, if we are not connected, I know I'm probably connected to a handful of you already, but if we are not, that QR code will take you directly to my Instagram. I would love for you to take a picture, tag me in a story, reach out to me afterwards, send me a DM, tell me that you were here. I love getting to share that with the webinar host. In this case, obviously it's my friend John. So being able to tell him, hey, look at all these DMs I got afterwards, it's cool to be able to do that. So feel free to reach out to me. I also love being able to connect after the webinar is over, just so that we can continue the conversation if you have questions and things like that. So that's how you get me. But let's jump in. And I just am so passionate about this, and it felt so important to start with. Now, John, I'm going to bring you into this conversation because I think that this is a very, very important way to start this entire conversation of why what we post matters, why what we say when we send messages matters. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. And then, John, I'm going to use you as my bait, if you will. So when I go to conferences, which I do all the time, whether I'm speaking or whether I'm just there as an attendee, which AMPCon, I was just there as an attendee, right? But Renee's my personal coach, so it made sense to be there. But in the past, when I would go to conferences, someone would come up to me and say, hey, Michelle, are you a loan officer? Are you a realtor? What are you doing here? And I would say, no, I actually own an Instagram marketing company. And when I said that phrase, more and more and more, what I realized is there were a couple big things that happened. Number one, people stopped making eye contact with me. Like, I'd be in this conversation with this person and they would all of a sudden, like, their eyes are all over the place. They're sort of more interested in what's going on around them as opposed to talking to me. And I did a lot of processing, and I did a lot of, like, just honestly, I don't want to say meditation, but kind of just like sitting and thinking about what was going on. And what I realized is that the social media space and being a social media manager or being someone that owns an Instagram marketing company, I really do believe that there's a lot of people that have ruined that for those of us that do it at a very high level. And what I discovered was that that phrase didn't do me justice. It actually essentially made people kind of just sort of frump and be like, oh, another one. So I really, really started talking to my friends like John and Renee about who is Michelle and what is my superpower. And that superpower, when I introduce myself now, is I teach mortgage professionals how to understand the power of leverage to create opportunity off the Instagram platform. Now, how much different is that? And John, this is where I'm going to bring you in if you're okay with it, and say, John, if you ask me the question, hey, Michelle, what do you do for a living? And I say, I own an Instagram marketing company, versus I say, I teach mortgage professionals how to understand the power of leverage to create opportunity off the Instagram platform. How much different, or how different in general do you think of me, or how much different do you think that conversation would go, one versus the other?
Significantly different, and the easiest correlation for everybody on this call, it's like when you talk to a loan officer or maybe a different broker owner, and the first thing they start the conversation with is, nobody knows guidelines like I know guidelines. That immediately deters you, at least from my experience. It's just a different feel and a different vibe, right? It's not, I know this better than you, I can do this better than you. It's just a matter of the way that it's prefaced. The words are everything when it comes to explaining to somebody what you're doing, to not sound cliche like everybody else.
Yeah, 1,000%. And so I boiled it down to, and this was my insane light bulb moment that I had, which is, what are you doing? What are you saying when you shake someone's hand? And why am I talking about a handshake on a social media webinar? The answer is that how you shake someone's hand is directly correlated to how you should be producing content, how you should be talking when you prospect, right? Meaning the types of messages you're sending through Instagram. What are you saying? And is your content validating that or not? Right? Is your content saying and speaking to exactly what I just said I specialize in? So if I specialize in teaching you how to understand the power of leverage to create opportunity, and I do it through active prospecting, if you go to my Instagram and you see nothing about any of what I just said, you don't see videos of me talking about it, you don't see interviews of me interviewing people like John or being interviewed by someone else, then I've lost all credibility. I'm not who I just said I was, right? So, but it's changed everything for me. It's changed how I shake someone's hand in person at a conference. It's changed how I write an email to someone that I'm being introduced to for the first time. It's changed how I open and introduce myself on a webinar. It's changed how I talk to my girlfriends, right? When someone says, Michelle, what do you do for a living? Like, everything about having this sentence so dialed in will literally change everything, right? You guys are all loan officers on this call, I imagine. Maybe we have one or two that are outside of that, but the reality is you're all loan officers. But how many of us are on here? I don't know, 63. If all 63 of you meet someone at the clubhouse or on the golf course and they say, hey, what do you do for a living? And you say you're a mortgage broker, that person's probably going to be like, cool, I know 77 of you, right? So that shouldn't be how you shake someone's hand. And then when we create content, all of that is so directly correlated. So let's talk about what the number one thing is that you need to do in 2025, in my opinion, and what I have seen over the last year with our hundreds of private coaching clients and in-person speaking engagements, things that I've done. What I believe the number one thing that we need to do, or that you guys need to do in 2025 is, hold on, I just saw a chat pop up, the negative connotation around used car salesmen. So true, John, so true. And then Ian was saying same thing. I love it. I love where your guys' heads are at. I'm totally with you. But what is the number one thing that you guys need to do in 2025? In my opinion, it is putting your passions into your content. Who are you outside of work? Where did you come from before you became a loan officer? What things do you enjoy doing outside of work? And I really believe in it. And I actually was on a call with another mutual friend of John and I's before I jumped on this webinar. And we had this conversation of just how long we've been in the Instagram game, right? And I've been in the Instagram world since 2014. And what I can tell you is that what Instagram was in 2014 is so wildly different than what it is today. I mean, it is so wildly different than what it was in 2019 when I launched Beyond the Method, right? So from 2014 to 2019, it became a totally different world. From 2019 to today, it's changed a whole 180 even again. And I guarantee you it will change again over the next several years. But what we have seen in the last year is that if you are a mortgage professional and you are posting the same video as every other mortgage professional because you get a script emailed to you every single month and that's what you just flip the phone around and talk about, or the Fed cut happens, right? John, how many videos did you see about the Fed cut the following morning after that happened?
My entire feed, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, it
Hundreds.
was only LinkedIn was the only one that wasn't as nuts. That was it.
Literally hundreds of these videos. And it was every single person sitting at their desk, holding their phone in their face, saying the exact same thing. Now, what I'm saying is that that's not unvaluable. It's not invaluable information. It's good to share, but it's how we share it and it's how we present that information and your ability to tie who you are as a human being into that content makes it so that I'm going to call you or I'm going to message you over your neighbor or the other 700 loan officers that live in your city. Now, this is something I've learned even more so over the years, but a lot of loan officers, and I take a gander that a lot of you guys on here in your emails at the very bottom have it say, we love referrals. Please send us any, or like share us with your friends and family, right? Anybody in the chat box, does anybody have that in their signature of their email? It's okay. I'm not going to yell at you, but I'm just genuinely curious. Do any of you guys have that? Because I know I see it every single day. Whether it's a realtor or a loan officer emailing me, I see it in the bottom, like, we love your referrals. And it's like big and bold. But the thing about this is, how do you get someone to want to refer you? And the superpower of social, the superpower of life, in my opinion, is your ability to get into someone's long-term memory. And John, I know you know what I'm talking about when I talk about this, but getting someone into your long-term memory is how we remember them, right? So is there somebody in your life right now, John, that you can think of that you remember from childhood or from high school? Is there somebody that you can remember?
Yes.
Tell me why you remember them.
Brad Lineberry is his name. Went to elementary school with him. And when I was growing up, I would go to, they put me in ESL, English second language, because I was speaking Arabic at the time. And so he was like the friend that didn't make me feel weird about it. So he and I have remained in contact briefly, but it's been like, what, 20 plus 25 years at this point, and I still never forget him.
So why do you never forget him? And the answer, quickly is you have a long-term memory or a story around your relationship with him that you can recall, right? And that's the power. Like, how many people did we go to high school with where we're like, I don't even remember their name, right? But you have those individuals that have made it through life with you. I can recall the professor's name, exactly what she wore every day, just all of it. Like, I have so much vivid memory of this one particular professor in college, which is the reason why I changed my degree from physical therapy with an emphasis to become a physical therapist to being a journalist, which is like a 180, right? But she is the reason why I made that transition. I know I'm still friends with her on Facebook. She still emails me from time to time. I'm in the process of writing a book, which at the end of this call, John, you and I can talk about super quickly. And I can't wait to sign a copy and mail it to her and just be like, you were right. 15 years later, you were right. But our ability to generate more referrals is how well we are doing, or how well we do at creating content that makes people remember us. So if you're producing content on social media, your number one goal is, can I tell a story? And how do I tell a story where it is worthy of being remembered or memorable, right? If we want to use that word. So let's talk about this in really specific, very detailed context. And this is your first homework assignment with me on this webinar. I'm a very tactical human. I like homework assignments. I want you guys to leave this webinar with something to actually do and be able to see dramatic improvement very, very quickly. So when it comes to content, let's talk about this first, because how do we incorporate passions into our content, like tactically? First thing you see in front of you is a Venn diagram, right? This is a very simple Venn diagram. We all have seen these in college and high school and even in our adult life. But what you see is two sides. So on the left-hand side, you see you see passions. That's the word. So what I want you guys to do is, in your notes, if you're taking them, or on your computer, draw a T graph. So what that T graph looks like is, on one side, you're going to have passions, things that you love. right? I had a client yesterday who said cigars on a coaching call. Guy loves cigars, goes to cigar bars all the time with his buddies. It's like his boy night out. I've had a client that said architecture. I've had a client that said archery, which was really, really cool. I've had women who have done baking or wine. I'm writing a series for a client right now about wine, literally. Like her passion is red wine and going to different restaurants and being able to pair it and all of that. So whatever your passions are, there's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. The only thing that you cannot put on your list is work. Work does not go in the passion category. We're talking about things outside of work, things that are not related to work at all, right? So whatever that is, I want you to write them down. If you are comfortable sharing them, share them in the chat box. Let John and I know what they are. I'm sure he'll read them alongside me. And I always love talking about it. Fitness is one. I love that, Amir. Me too, for sure. So, comic books, Tommy, that's so cool. Working out, family, fishing is a great one. I have a really cool example about fishing I can share with you guys. Building keyboards, super unique. Crochet, super cool. So this is awesome. Like lots of really, I look at that. I didn't even know you did that, John. That's so cool. So write it down. And there's no wrong answer except for work. You cannot write it down. Write that down. Now, on the right-hand side of your Venn diagram, you see the word expertise. So what expertise is what are you really good at solving? What pain points do your ideal clients have that you are really good at solving, right? Yesterday, I wrote a series for a client about DTI, right? So DTI is a huge issue when you're trying to increase your purchase price, or a borrower wants to increase their purchase price, but their DTI sucks, right? Or it's bad. Another one, very, very common problem. Should I rent my house out or should I sell it so that I can buy this bigger home? Another one, I want to buy, or I have a client that wants to buy a bigger home, but they don't have a bigger budget, right? But they have 5 kids now instead of 2 kids, so they need a bigger house, but their budget hasn't changed, right? Or how much monthly mortgage payment they have isn't conducive to being able to buy that type of house without lessening their dream list, right? Which I know you guys have all experienced and probably do daily. So on the expertise side, I want you to be very specific and write down what are the pain points that you are trying to solve on a daily basis. I had a client who did one 1031 exchanges, which was really a big one that I even learned a lot just listening to him. I had one client that did one about capital gains. He has a lot of clients that bought their houses in the 70s and 80s, and they have so much equity in their home that they're afraid to sell it because of how much profit that they'll make out of it, knowing that they'll likely have to pay capital gains. So what are those clients' options, right? And it's that loan officer's job, in my opinion, and obviously in their opinion, to solve that problem so that the borrower, who at this point, is now close to retirement or retired, doesn't lose a bunch of money to capital gains. So I'm just giving you guys clarity or some context around how I want you to write this down. But you should have several pain points. You should have several passions on either side. Now, the intersection of those two things is where we produce content. And what do I mean? How, right? Let's talk about the how. So your content should have one main goal, and that is to connect. Jonathan's used that word a ton. I 1000% agree, obviously. But our job is to create content that connects with people, that makes people say, wow, that is super relatable, or oh, I didn't know that about Jonathan. And what we do when we build these particular series, which is, I call it value series. So if you guys want to write that down, you can. It's called value series here. But when we build a value series, our goal is to combine our passions with our pain points so that when someone listens to our video or someone hears our message, yes, we're sharing things about mortgage. Yes, we're sharing things about how we solve problems for clients, but we're doing it from a place of connection. And I'm going to explain how that works tactically here or tangibly here in just a moment. But why? Before I show you how, let's talk about why. Number one, we have to ditch the standard talking head videos. I never want you, and I never really allow my clients to record videos sitting behind their desk with their phone in their face. If you want to talk about something related to mortgage and something that you're solving or a problem that you can solve, combine it with a passion, turn it into a 5-part series, and all of a sudden it will feel way different. and it will be consumed way differently by your audience. So let's talk about this in real play here. And where can you post these? You can post them anywhere. Instagram, your personal Facebook, YouTube Shorts is a huge one, right? If you're trying to build your YouTube audience, these value series videos are YouTube Shorts. Do it. LinkedIn, how many? And I just realized I spelled LinkedIn wrong. Sorry, guys. Whoops. I'm a human, not a robot, but there you go. So we can post them everywhere. And now how many of you guys open up LinkedIn every day and see, mortgage related content? And my goal is to help you produce content about solving mortgage problems, but in a way where your videos are way better received and where people are going to be like, whoa, I haven't seen a video like that on LinkedIn before, or, oh, I haven't seen a video like that from John before, right? And it really changes the context of the content. So now, why is this so important, and why do I put such an emphasis on the passion piece? First and foremost, really, it makes you more confident, first off, right? So pain point wise, for you guys specifically, my clients, the mortgage professional world, number one pain point when it comes to doing videos, I don't like the way that I sound. I don't like the way that I look. I don't know what to say. It's the same thing. I've heard it for 10 years. Has not changed. And it will not change for the next 10 years probably. But how can we solve it? First and foremost, we have to put you in your element. Context, example. I have a client who did fishing. Fly fishing specifically. He's a loan officer up in Fairbanks, Alaska. His name is Barkley. Super cool guy, right? But his entire 5-part series that we built, he recorded all 5 of the videos in a fishing boat while fishing. And the pain point that he solved was VA buyers who want to be able to buy a home for 0% down. He happens to live very close to the military base there. So he does a lot of VA loans, but a lot of his VA clients don't understand the difference between closing costs and a down payment. They thought they were the same thing. They're very young, brand new military couples. They don't know. They just didn't know. They just thought VA is 0% down. I can buy a house for nothing. Sometimes, yeah, but there is a difference between closing costs and down payment. So he combined his passion of fishing and his pain point of not understanding the difference into a 5-part series and recorded all 5 of them in a boat. Freaking crazy different response. So much so that the broker, the number one real estate broker that sends him most of his business, that owns an entire office, literally texted him and said, where are you getting this? Like, how did you learn how to do this? And who do I need to know? Barkley screenshotted it and sent it to me. And I was like, go teach a training for them, Barkley. Why not? Go teach them how you just did that. Makes a huge difference. So number one is that. Number two, it keeps you wanting to actually do the videos, right? So how many of you guys have ever been like, oh, I've done a couple and now I'm just like, what? I'm out. I've done a couple I can say I did, but there's no consistency to it because you don't like it. You're not having a good time doing it, right? So if that's the case, how do you put yourself in a place where you want to keep doing them? You incorporate your passions into it. And then the third thing, which is really, really important, is it will actually make your audience want to connect with you first. They will literally want to talk to you about this. They will reach out to you. They will comment. You'll get engagement that you haven't gotten before, right? And more importantly, why that happens is the person consuming your video is going to say, like, just naturally, Jonathan looks way more confident. If Jonathan records a 5-part series with a bunch of his cool ass keyboards in front of him and creates an analogy between his love of creating unique ones and one of the bazillion pain points I'm sure you can talk about, John, the goal is to get your audience to comment on it. And because they'll be like, I had no idea that you like doing that. The mortgage piece almost becomes subliminal, but it's there, right? And people are listening to you. You're building credibility, and you sound so much more confident when you're delivering that content. Like, I'm just so bought into what you're saying because you sound so much more confident because you are in your element. So that's really the big why. Now, how does this tactically work? And Jonathan, real quick, I'm going to take a drink of water because you guys can probably hear that my voice is like going away. I've been losing it for the last 4 days. But before we go into this specifically, John, what's your thought process right now based off of what we just talked about?
So yeah, I took a lot of notes. So my first note that's not kind of tied to me, it's more so a question for everybody, including my team, because I'm going to share this with them as well, is do you have some sort of exercise where if somebody's sitting there and going, okay, like passion that's not work related, and they're having issues coming up with the passion because sometimes it's difficult to think about stuff like that right away, especially if you don't know where to start. Do you have any weird tips or tricks or things that you've done with your clients that have helped them generate those kind of thinking patterns?
Yeah, so I'll ask them, okay, when you're not on your computer or if you need some quiet time, if you want to go out, like what do you do? Right? And really the best way to do it is talk about yourself. Like, so John, you can use your own self as an example when you're talking to your team, right? And for me, it's the gym. If I don't go to the gym, I am not a nice person. Like I have to work out, I have to go for a run. I have to be able to do those things. The other thing is I love hole in the wall coffee shops. I get so much work done when I go and I put my headphones in and I get hand delivered a beautiful cup of coffee with coffee art on top. There's something about it when I'm in that element that just like makes me feel free. I don't know. Other things that I really love, I love horseback riding. I love being on the back of a horse. It's so freeing. My phone is in my pocket. I'm not answering it while I'm riding a horse. But when you simplify it, it could be really simple things. I mean, my assistant who's on here, Danny, said crochet, right? And so that's something that's simple. It's like a behind the scenes. You're just sort of doing it to disconnect. Reading is a huge one. I have one client who gardening was really big for her, like literally growing different types of flowers. I had a client who, I kid you not, actually said hummingbirds and watching her hummingbirds in her garden in her backyard. She just loves that. It's a place for her to disconnect from the busyness of her day to day. So it doesn't have to be this big, huge thing, right? It can just be a very simple, what do you like to do? Right? Do you like collecting stamps? Tommy said comic books, right? It could be anything. But I will tell you, don't overanalyze it.
Yeah, it's funny. It sounds like it's obviously being more secure too with yourself because it's all about just going through your day, right? It's like, hey, walk me through your day when you're not working. What are you doing?
Yep.
And you'd be surprised. It's funny. It's much more fascinating to me to realize how much more similar you are to people than you think.
Yeah.
And even for me with the keyboards, I can't tell you how many people were like, now that I share it, they'll tell me, they'll be excited. Like, oh my, I do the same thing, believe it or not. I love keyboards. And it's just weird because you build this culture of people that are very similar to you. And that's what it's about, and understanding and going through your day. So I was just curious. Something I wrote down was that question specifically, like how do we do that? So just something I want to take back to my people.
Yeah, for sure. Very good question. I can't see the Q&A box, so if there's something in there, John, just
I
call
got
me
you.
out and tell me. Now, as far as value series creation, right? So what am I talking about? This is a 5-part series. Combining your passion with your pain points becomes a 5-part series. And I call it value series. Ironically, it's taken me 2 years to get this thing trademarked, but we are officially trademarked. What a pain in the butt. If any of you guys have ever tried to trademark anything, holy moly. But it is done now. So value series is one topic divided into 5 sub questions, and each of those 5 sub questions becomes its own video. So you have one title for the entire month. That title combines whatever the passion and the pain point is together. And then we break that down into 5 parts. Now, yes, we are going to use ChatGPT here, and you guys will be mind blown by this process because every client I have ever had that has done this has said that. Like they just, even right now, I want you guys, if you are on your computers, open up your ChatGPT on a separate tab and do it. It'll happen. You'll get exactly what I'm telling you you'll get back right now. So this is where you can build your credibility specifically around that mortgage conversation, but do it from a place of connection first. So again, one topic divided into 5 sub questions. Each of those 5 sub questions becomes its own video of 40 to 60 seconds. The passion piece, you can see a list of a whole bunch of ones I've made there based off of clients that I currently have. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use ChatGPT to ask it to build an analogy between those two things. So let me show you guys what this looks like in real play. This is one that I just did not long ago for a client. So you ask ChatGPT, can you create an analogy between someone's love of fishing? And then notice there's a semicolon there. After the semicolon, go to town. Write 2 to 3 sentences about why you love fishing. The more detail, the better. 2 to 3 sentences minimum about why you love fishing. 2 to 3 sentences, John, since I saw you said yours is open. 2 to 3 sentences minimum about why you love building keyboards. The way I describe this when you're writing these things out is think of it like a diary entry. What are you writing in your diary? If that's what you were doing, or what are you writing in your morning meditation if you're talking about something you enjoy or like? That's how detailed and specific you can get. Like if I talk about my love of running, why do I like it? Well, one, my phone's not on me. Two, I'm not, I don't listen to music when I run because my husband doesn't let me, first of all, safety. But secondly, also it's a way for me to just purely connect with my own thoughts and with God and nature. Like I'm just in my own zone, and I have some of the best thoughts I've ever had when I'm alone on a trail running. So that's part of why I love running. The other reason why I love running is when you get to a race, and you stand at the starting line, nobody knows who I am, right? Nobody knows that I own a company. Nobody knows that I have employees I have to make sure I can pay. Nobody knows that I have all these titles and things that I have that are weighing me down. So it's a very freeing place for me. It's a place where I don't have the baggage of owning a company, right? Quite literally. So that's an important thing for me. So if you're doing this, be that specific, be that detailed, about why you love such thing. Then after you list that out 2 to 3 sentences, this is the next part right here where it says and a mortgage loan officer whose ideal client is, right? So that's, your guys are going to have that exact same sentence, and a mortgage broker or a mortgage loan officer whose ideal client is, insert VA buyer, first time home buyer, move up buyer, whose pain point is, semicolon. You guys see that semicolon there? And then I copy and pasted all of the notes from my client when he was talking about housing affordability to me. And that's that section. You can see another 2 to 3 sentences. And then at the very end, we say we are going to make a 5-part series out of this. So you guys see that. Can you create an analogy between someone's love of fishing, semicolon, 2 to 3 sentences, and a mortgage loan officer whose ideal client is a first-time home buyer? You guys insert yours. Whose pain point is, semicolon, copy and paste the 2 to 3 sentences that you wrote down. And then at the very end, do not forget this part that says we are going to make a 5-part series out of this. When you do that, you'll get 5 parts back. So when it comes back to you, it's going to look exactly like this. It's going to be part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. Then we're going to turn all 5 parts into their own video scripts. There is a formula for that. I don't have time to talk about it right now, but it is a formula you plug into ChatGPT to get a video script out of each of these 5 parts. So you take each of these 5 parts, turn them into their own video script. And then the fun part, you record all 5 of these videos in your element, whatever that is. The 2 examples I'm about to show you. John, did you actually hit enter on that?
Yeah.
Did you get your 5 parts back?
Not, I didn't finish the 5 parts. I just finished that first part.
No, but when you hit enter, or did you say at the very end, we are going to make a 5-part series out of this?
That's the part I have to add. I just wanted to get this part out.
Make sure you do, because then I want you to actually hit enter and get what I'm showing here back on your side. So the thing about where we record them is in the element, right? So whatever the passion is, if it was keyboards for John, which is what I see here, all 5 of your videos, John, you're going to be recording with keyboards in front of you, in wherever you do it, whatever your space is, but it's not going to be behind your desk with your phone in your face. Okay. I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you these 2 examples. Unfortunately, the audio is really weird. I've tried to fix it and I can't. But these are 2 videos from one of my clients. His passion is Jeeping. He actually has a very tricked out, Jeep. Puts a lot of time and money and effort into it. And he just loves it. He loves taking the doors off, going for a ride. He does a lot of off-roading with it. It's a big thing that him and his family really enjoy. So Jeeping was his pain point, was should I sell or rent it out to buy the next home? So again, obviously there's a lot of detail that goes into there, but these 2 videos, what I want to share with you, both of these were recorded on the same day. Matter of fact, all 5 of his series was all recorded on the same day in his driveway, but with different angles, right? So you can tell, obviously, these are different angles. And all he did was change his shirt, and one of them he put sunglasses on. Now, the key here is in the videos themselves, the very first thing out of his mouth has nothing to do with mortgages, right? It's a opening sentence that starts with the passion as a hook, right? You guys have all heard about hooks. You know that hooks are important when you open videos, but we have to lead with the passion part of the analogy, because if we don't, it's just another mortgage video, right? So that's why the passion part is so important. The first sentence out of your mouth, the first sentence of the caption that goes underneath the video when you post it, both of those are very specific to the passion part of this. And my background in journalism has really, really helped me coach you guys on how to do this properly, so that not only do you get really good video scripts, but you also write really good copy, which has notoriously been something that I hear is hard for you guys, right? So I posted a video, but now what do I say about it, right? I just got an email actually from a client named Lori who was like, okay, so I have my 5 videos recorded, but Michelle, what do I write underneath the video? And that's where that comes into play, right? Opening sentence is a hook that leads with a passion. So this was one example. This was another example. Another client of mine, David, owns a 40-acre horse farm in North Carolina. Actually solely recruits, does not originate at all anymore. Incredible dude. But all 5 of his videos on the horse farm, one or on the horse ranch, one of the videos actually his horse comes up from behind him and tries to nibble at his microphone that's on his shirt. And he emails me and he says, Michelle, should I redo that video? And I'm like, nope, because how relatable is that? Right? It's just real life. It doesn't mess up the audio. It doesn't, you can't not hear David just because that's happening, but it makes it super relatable. People are going to want to watch it. Pain point is not being happy at their current company, but unsure of how to make a move, where to go, right? They have all these questions of like, obviously I don't want to stay here, but I don't know where I should go. And he solves that, right? And he believes his company is the right one to do that. So both of these examples, hopefully they help. You guys see how we do this tactically, right? We take a passion, we take a pain point, we put it into ChatGPT, we build an analogy, we get our 5 parts back. We turn each of those 5 parts into a video script. Again, I don't have time to go into that process, but I can tell you, Jonathan's already halfway there, right? But going from passion and pain point to 5-part video series takes 30 minutes or less, meaning you'll have all 5 parts, all 5 video scripts, know where you're going to record all 5 of them, and be ready to actually go record all of them in 30 minutes or less. And also, guess what? You do not need a camera. You do not need any form of fancy video equipment whatsoever. You need this. That's it. All of my clients use their phones to record their content. Do they have a tripod with a ring light? Some of them do, some of them don't, right? Tripods are nice because then you can put your phone up and not have to hold it. But I have a $40 ring light off of Amazon. That's it. I do not have a fancy camera. I don't have a videographer following me around. Now, have I used a videographer for specific videos? For sure. John, you have too. We all do, right? But the core of our content is not that. And it also makes it so that the barrier to doing it doesn't feel quite so cumbersome, right? We're not climbing Mount Everest here, which is what a lot of people feel like is happening. So who edits? Great question, Paul. Opus Clip. I use Opus all day, every day. You upload all 5 of your videos into Opus. The thing about Opus that I love so much, 2 things. One, it does all the editing for you and it's all AI generated editing. It's also incredibly fast, right? You don't have to do any splicing and dicing. It does it all for you. And secondly, the thing I love about Opus is it grades it, right? So it gives you a grade on your video, a score out of 100, and then a category grade for each of the 4 categories that make up the overall grade. So you really actually know, is your video good? Is it going to do well? And then it also gives you feedback in each of the 4 categories to do it better if you need to for any reason. My litmus test of like, is this video good to go or not, is your goal should be 90 or above, 90 out of 100 or above. And the hook category, so the first category itself, or the first category of grade, excuse me, is the hook. That must be an A. So in my world, if a client does their video and gets it back and the hook is a B and they get a 99 out of 100, I don't care. They're doing the video again, right? Because your hook is so important to whether or not they listen to, or your audience listens to the rest of the video at all. So Opus Clip is magical. There's a shit ton of function to Opus that I'll just tell you I don't even use. But it's very, very powerful platform and a lot of people love it. Do you use CapCut as well or just Opus? My team and I, we use both. We also use Descript. I know Danny, one of my assistants is here. She does a lot of editing for our private clients as well for other things, not specifically value series. But we do use Descript a lot as well. And CapCut is certainly part of it. But the thing with CapCut, I'll tell you, is it's very cumbersome and it's not super tech savvy, or like if you're not super tech savvy, I should say, there's a learning curve, right? The thing with Opus is there's none. You literally just upload the video and it does all the editing for you and turns it and spits it right back out to you. Download, post it. And it also automatically transcribes it. So the captions, like you saw, the captions automatically show up on the videos for you. That's what Opus does. So it's just really phenomenal. I've been rank 0 for years, John. I guess the only direction is up. Amir, you are funny. I love it. So your content, this is the important part that I want to transition to. Your content should complement your prospecting. What am I talking about? I have so many conversations with people every single day. Michelle, I want to use Instagram. Michelle, I want to get better at using Instagram, but I want to generate business off of it. I put all this time and effort and energy, and I'm not making any ROI off of it. And I'll tell them, first and foremost, you got to fix your content problem, right? You have a content problem and you have to recognize that. What's the saying? I'm probably going to mess this up, but the first step to overcoming something is like admitting that you have the problem in the first place, right? Your content is your first problem that needs to be fixed. If you call me and say, Michelle, I want to start generating business off of Instagram, and I look at your content and it's bad, I'm going to tell you it's bad. Let's fix it, right? And it's very easily fixable, but we have to incorporate passions. We have to start doing things that matter there. And there are, John sort of foreshadowed this, but there are 4 pillars to the content as well. So there's 4 pillars to my business, which he named perfectly. And then there's 4 pillars of content specifically, as far as what are you posting in categories as well. Everything's easier in 4s, I guess. But your content should complement your prospecting, meaning if I'm not posting about things like running or my love of coffee or having a 3-year-old that's way cuter than I could have ever dreamed of, or just any of that, my fitness, right? I still CrossFit regularly. I'm also part of the military community. My husband is special forces and now works for the military. So we talk about it a lot. It's just a big part of our lives. But here's an example. And John, I'm gonna talk to you here and ask you this question. If I saw, hypothetically, that you posted in your stories that you went on a 5K run, let's just say, and I sent you or even the gym. Let's talk about the gym, for example, right? I sent you a message and say, hey, I saw that you were in the gym. I'm actually working on a powerlifting meet coming up. How long have you been working out? Naturally, you're going to click on my profile and be like, who is this Michelle person that just sent me a message? What happens? What does your brain think? Or what would you say internally to yourself if you clicked on my profile and you didn't see a single thing anywhere at all about me working out?
I would say to myself, great, another crypto influencer, right? Like they're just going to try to sell me crypto here shortly and talk about how you can save my family and give me generational wealth. That's exactly what I think if there was no correlation.
So what are you going to do?
Block, quick,
And move.
fast,
Yeah, you're going to
efficient,
block
move
or
on.
you're
I don't
going
have
to move
time.
on. You're definitely not going to respond to me, are you?
Zero. I truly have zero time for that stuff. I mean, it happens so often now. I mean, it's literally block and move on.
Yep. But if you click on my profile and you see that we were just at a powerlifting meet, if you see that I just competed at a CrossFit competition because I posted about it, right? If you see my highlight with all of my CrossFit stuff in there, and then you see all the pictures of Dave and I running or at the marathons, now what are you going to do?
I mean, it's the same thing when you reached out to me after MCon, right? Very similar because that's exactly what I did. I go on there, I take a look, and I walk through it, right? And I see, okay, she's about it. She's actually in the same line that I'm doing. She works with people that I know and trust as well, because you pay attention to mutual friends too, if there are any. Hopefully there are. But yeah, I mean, it's your example's perfect for me because of how we ended up really connecting with you reaching out. And that's exactly what I did is I'm Googling you, looking at who you are. All right, what are you looking for? What are you about? And yeah, once you're tied and connected, it is really easy to spark a conversation. It really is.
Yeah, we have to validate it, right? So the question I always ask everybody is, are you who you say you are? So if you send me a message about my kid that I posted in my stories or a recipe that I made, and I click on your profile, which I'm an avid cook. I love cooking. I also love baking, and I post about it a lot. It's actually like my husband and I, everybody says, do you like a date night? Well, we have in my marriage, one of our favorite things is my husband wants me to make fancy dinners on Saturday night as a family. So I find a fun recipe from one of my favorite Instagram people that makes recipes that I can follow or that you can download, and I make them. And that's our fun Saturday nights. And
Janine asked a good question
oh, go ahead.
on here. So Janine Kemper, so she's a big pillar with inside of the community, and she does a lot with inside of what we do. And she said, how do you go from no content to looking credible? If I don't currently have my passions posted now, it may not look credible today.
So amazing question, Janine. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'll tell you the 4 pillars, I'll say them very, very quickly because we're running out of time. 4 pillars, first and foremost, value series is what you're learning about today. The other 3, testimonial videos and or God moments. It's an alternation, either or it's an either or, not an alternation. That was the wrong word. So pillar number 1, value series. Pillar number 2, testimonials and or God moments. Testimonials in my world must be video. You must get video testimonials from your clients. No longer can you use the written ones because they do not have the credibility that they once did. Period. Pillar number 3 for you guys in the mortgage space specifically, small business and or charity spotlight. Again, either or. Small businesses, if you're going to do them, be in them when you highlight them. Take a picture of you at the business. Don't just post a stock photo from Google. Also, if you have clients that own small businesses that you just did a loan for, start there. Charities, we're all part of, or we all support organizations or various forms of charities. Great option, or great opportunity, I should say, to be able to showcase community involvement. So that's pillar number 3. Pillar number 4 is lifestyle. Who are you outside of work? If you go to my Instagram, which most of you probably did, pictures of me and my husband, pictures of my son, pictures of me out running, working out, life, just me as a person, right? I mean, if you don't like sharing your face, sunsets, right? You're going to the coffee shop, you post a picture of your coffee shop, or I'm sorry, you post a picture of your coffee that you bought, right? Just share your life. Be a human being. So important, because that lifestyle pillar combined with the passion part of your value series, those things are the foundation of your prospecting. So if you guys are familiar with the song by Maren Morris called Bones, the lyric is, the house won't fall if the bones are good. That's what we're talking about here. So Janine, to answer your question poignantly, get on the schedule as far as what are your 4 pillars that I just gave you, posting in a cadence, and start showing up. You'll build traction over time when you couple that with prospecting. Jessica says her favorite song right now. Oh my gosh, I love that. It is such a good song, and it's an old song, and it's still just so good. But that all of that content becomes the foundation of when you start prospecting, which is what I'm going to share with you here. So you just start posting and have your cadence. So this is actually something I'm going to lovingly hug Jonathan virtually here, but my accountability to him, which he's asked me to do, is to help him prospect better and do a better job at doing it on his side. And I do this every single day religiously. So if there's one big thing that I can tell you that will change the entire trajectory of your business through and with social and just in general, it's your ability. No, pillar number 1 for content, Peter, is value series. Oh, sorry. It's okay. You're fine, Jonathan. So I assume Paul, or I'm sorry, Peter, I assume you were referring to content specifically there. That's why I said that. So if there's one big takeaway from today's presentation, which we do not have time to get through everything that I had originally planned, which is totally okay, is find one new relationship every single day and send them a message on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. I don't care. I use all 3. I did this the other day through LinkedIn, got a meeting, had the meeting yesterday. It was a phenomenal call. What you do is send one message to someone that you do not know. I'll say that one more time. One message every single day to someone that you do not know through the Instagram platform. Asterisk, LinkedIn, and Facebook are also allowed, right? You can also do it through those. If you do that every single day for 365 days, your business will look wildly different than it does right now. The relationships that you have, the opportunities that you have will look wildly different. And I am telling you, I am physically sitting here on camera with Jonathan because I did exactly this one thing. And the trajectory of my life over the last several years and my career is because of this one thing. So in my course, I actually have a spreadsheet. It's like an Excel spreadsheet with columns, 365 boxes that you have to check mark every single day for 365 days. Do you or have you sent a message to someone that you do not know? Who you are sending the messages to and all of that. Unfortunately, just for sake of time, I don't have the ability to get into that right now. Fannie Mae is saying also, what are you messaging them? Jonathan's going to have me back in order for me to answer that question.
Yeah, we're going to have a follow-up on this one.
Yeah.
because we're getting a lot of questions coming in. So we will have a follow-up on this, y'all. I can promise you that.
It's so good, and I'm so excited to be able to share it with you guys. We just don't have time to get to it specifically today, but I promise you, we'll get it on the calendar and do that. So one day or one goal every single day to send a message to someone that you do not know. How does it relate to prospecting specifically? Number one, the passions you talk about create conversation and help you initiate it. So whatever you're posting in your content is likely what you're going to be talking about in your DMs and in your messages, right? Because you're naturally going to want to comment on things that you feel related to or that feel relatable to you. So I'm going to naturally be more inclined to comment on Jonathan's fitness stuff because I work out a lot. It's just in human intuition. So that's why the passion piece is important. When you're starting conversations with people that you do not know, they will 100%. And if you think that they won't, you are 100% wrong. But when you send a message to someone that you do not know, they will click on your profile and look at it and be like, who is this person? So again, the question comes back to your content matters so much because when you start prospecting, are you who you say you are? That's the question I'll leave you with there. It also takes the salesiness out of initiating new conversations. How many of you guys get messages every single day on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, where you can tell that they copy and pasted that to as many people as possible? Or it was a cold bump. They have no idea who you are. They don't know what you do. They don't care. They're just trying to get you to respond, to sell you something. LinkedIn is the worst, in my opinion. Right? Happens every single day. So I assume you guys are all saying yes, but I don't see anything in the chat box. But I assume you guys have all received messages like that and know what I'm talking about. But when you receive those messages, they suck, right? On the receiving end, you're like, you know that that person did not take the time to actually intentionally send that message to me on purpose. Therefore, as Ariana Grande would say, thank you, next, right? On to the next one. So the last bullet point here is the focus on the connection itself that you have with the other person is where you start the conversation. So the initial message you send to someone is about them. Prospecting is about the other person. It's not about you. And that's a very important reframe. I love that word, but it's a very important reframe of how you prospect. Now, I'm going to leave you with this, and then I have one final slide. Imagine, every single one of you, imagine you had a list of people in front of you with 100 names on it. And you had Jonathan, phone number, address. That's it, right? 100 names, first name, last name, phone number. Hell, we don't even care about the address. We'll just say first name, last name, phone number. That's your sheet. You have to call every single one of those people today. That's your prospecting. Okay. Now imagine you have a second list. The second list is the exact same 100 names, but next to Jonathan's name, I have 3 things about him. He loves keyboards, right? He loves creating custom keyboards. He loves working out, and his wife just had their 4th daughter, right? Or their 4th kid. Sorry, 3rd kid. I got my math wrong.
You're good.
You get it, right? His wife just had their 3rd child. Those are the 3 bullet points I have next to Jonathan. Before I pick up the phone to call him, I see that. How much different is conversation number 1 when all I have is first name, last name, phone number, as compared to conversation number 2 where I have first name, last name, and 3 bullet points? Jonathan, how much different is that conversation if you're cold calling?
It's not even close. I mean, it's really not. It's like calling an agent that you have at least some basic relationship. Even if you went to school together, like you can start and pick up on anything outside of business.
Exactly. And you should, right? Because that's how a conversation should start. That is what Instagram and prospecting through social media gives you and affords you. Your ability to do that is so huge. Okay, so I'm going to skip to this because I know Jonathan's got to go here in just a second. This is the final slide. I'm doing something for AIME that I have never done. I never do discounts ever in my life. Have I ever? But I'm giving $500 off to the first 5 of you who would like to do private coaching with me. And I always sell it as a bundle. So in the bundle, you get 10 private coaching sessions with me plus my entire course. They come together. My course is 100 videos, 27 homework assignments, and counting. You have lifetime access to the entire course. But what I'm telling you is in our private coaching, everything that you heard today, it's on steroids, right? Like it's me and you one-on-one. This is not group coaching. It's just me and you. So $500 off the first 5 of you only. So if you schedule a call with me, only the first 5 of you will get that $500 off the total price. That QR code will take you directly to my calendar. I have opened 10 slots, 5 of which are tomorrow. So you can get on my calendar as immediately as tomorrow if you want to. I saved them specifically for this call, because if not, they would have gotten booked over by other people. But Jonathan, I'm going to let you have your final thought, and then I know you have to run, but I'll let you guys use this if you want to.
I love the sales aspect of what you bring to the table. Like this is, I just put it in there and smiled. This is how you close out something like this. Okay. You give so much value. And then it is, I've talked to her about this before. The discount piece, she's very big in terms of being as dialed in and systematic as possible. Here's the reality of working with someone like Michelle. I just want to be very clear with this group here. Okay. When I tell you her expectations are high, I mean, that is not an exaggeration. She holds herself to a very high standard. This human being is dialed in to all aspects of her life, whether it's waking up at the same time every day, whether it's reading, at the same time every day, taking care of the family, going to the gym, working with her business partners. She is very, very disciplined. If that's not you, I'm telling you right now, you're going to struggle. And she's going to tell you that you're struggling too. She is not afraid to rip that Band-Aid off. So be intent, be ready. It is intense.
Barkley's actually here. Barkley's the client I was talking to you guys about fishing.
Barkley said yes. So Barkley said it's intense. Be ready if you're up for it. Michelle, thank you for everything. I am jumping off on my end, but this is what AIME's bringing to the table. This has been vetted out by our board. These are people that are talking to her and getting an understanding to put in tangible things that we know you can use to take your business to the next level. Michelle, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for being an amazing human being.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for having me, John. I'm so excited for the year to come. Thank you. And thank you for saying that in the chat.